Bam. Here it is. Bam. And you say, God damn. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. What's going on? It's fucking Sunday. What's up? Sunday shout out day. Lots of shout outs today. Let's do a lot of shout outs today. Ronnie Wheeler, what's up? Come on now. Shouting out Ronnie Wheeler. Andreas Sweden in the house. I'm in the house. Jojo, what's up? Okay. How you doing, Jojo? I hope Jonathan's watching. I hope you're out there, Jonathan, because we're going to talk. We're going to, we'll talk some Hellbent today. We got a bunch of things going on, What's up? What's up in Leeds? All right. London. Go ahead, London. Shout out to Pissing Razors, El Paso's finest metal band. Okay. Not mad at Pissing Razors. All right. What's up, Kenny? What's happening in Belgium, brother? Hope you're keeping my girls in check in Belgium, man. Hags, what's up? There you go. You know what? I'll talk about this when we get the guys on. I got something to say. It's gonna be hot today. I'm on fire. Fruit of the day. Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone know what this item is? All right. What's up, Jorge? All right. Good. All right. Good to see everybody. Shout out to Craig and Armand. Okay, fair enough. What's up, Al? I killed my baby today. I got something to say. Frown. All right. What's up from Dortmund, Germany? Yo, I spent some time in Dortmund. Century Media Records was their headquarters was in Dortmund. Yeah. I remember there was one time when I was actually I hate to say it, but we were thinking about moving to Dortmund. I don't know. What's up in Lima? Come on now. Now we're going deep on Shout Out Sunday. Drew is the man. Listen, I want to talk to you about this because I'm not sure what I am after last night. I'm not sure if I'm even human. Very strange. Something very strange happened last night. I'm not sure what I am. Am I a man? Am I a humanoid? Am I a cyborg? I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm real. We have to figure this out today on the show. Hey, Tim. What's up, man? MOD Classic represent. People blowing up my phone already. Oh, Drew's doing a show. Let me blow his fucking phone up. Yeah. All right. Hey, there he is. Jonathan Wiley. Okay. Don't be scared, Jonathan. All right. We are 138. Okay. Yep. It's going good, man. I'm excited. We got a good show today. Let's bring on the hardcore shutterbug, all right? What am I, bro?
Are you human?
I don't think I am.
Do you secretly wish you were human?
No, I don't. I realize. No. I'll tell you what happened last night, right? I was at the show, and we're going to talk about all the show stuff. And I was at. You know what? Yeah, all right. And I'm at the merch booth.
Now, which show were you
talking to this guy?
Uh-oh.
And then this other dude standing there, and he looks up and he goes, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Wow, I love the show." He's like, "I can't believe I'm talking to you. That you're a real person." Right? And I said, "Yeah, man. I feel. I have feelings and emotions. Am I real?
Am I evil?
No, I think I'm a replicant. I don't think I'm Drew Stone. I think I'm a replicant. And don't tell my girlfriend because I hump her and stuff. Replicants hump people, right?
So is there really a Drew Stone?
I think I don't think so. I don't. So, yeah, it's a simulation, right? Am I an android? I don't know. I think I'm a replica. Is there a difference between a rep? You know what? You know who would know? You know who would know this? Hey, bro, you out there?
Oh, he'll know.
Yeah. Rat Bones.
What's up?
Hey, man, is there a difference between a replicant and an android?
You know, AI is taking over, right? I get that feeling too, man. I went out last night too, and I went to see HR. I got a fat ass pin from my friend Ezekiel, who used to be in McRad. He plays for HR now. You know, a few people showed up. You know, I don't know if people really get it no more. I think they come for the Bad Brains vibe, and then it's like reggae. So it's cool though. He played a lot of early Bad Brains reggae stuff. He did some material off Singing in the Heart, which is my favorite record. He did Fool's Gold. So, yeah, he does his new stuff. He's got a new record called Give Thanks out. You know, HR keeps it moving in the shadows, bro. He's a real artist. He doesn't care about
you're like HR's biggest supporter, bro.
He's the puppet master in my eyes, man. He just does what he does, and he's going to leave behind a legacy, and he'll be another Cobain. When he dies, the world will rediscover HR, and we'll be like, get out, step aside, you know? It's all right. It was good. I love to see him. He looked healthy. He was great, man. He performs incredibly to me. So, you know, always a good time to go see HR. I always feel elated the next day. Like, I get a vibe. I think music should give you life in that sense. When every day I see HR, I'm always good for like a week.
All right. Hey,
So, it was great.
Hey,
I know there was a lot of shows last night.
Yeah.
A lot of shows. Sick of It
Sid.
All played.
What do you mean
The
Sick?
Tape.
Where did
Yeah,
Sick of It All
play somewhere too, man.
Sick of It All played Connecticut.
Ransom played Forest Hills. It was going down, man.
Huh.
New York is back, right?
Me and Sid, we went to we saw the what did we do last night, Sid?
Well, I was actually working for the Take last night, actually at Kingsland, and the first band. Shout out to these guys.
Is that
Those fucking
Buffalo?
dudes.
Is that Buffalo Oi?
Yep, straight from Buffalo. It was only their second show they've ever played. They fucking brought it to the table.
They're right.
Oh, see, yeah, you drew in punk rock annoying. Yeah,
They're right. I'm not gonna say they were the greatest thing since I watched them.
no, they like I said, the second show they've ever played. They fucking brought it.
Yeah,
They
no,
really
listen,
impressed.
It was commendable. It was good.
You know,
She was a harsh judge.
But what Rod said was like, you know, at least it's something I wanted to make a point about. So now that things are opening up, some people are still complaining left and right. Oh, there's nowhere to play. I'm like, really? There were 4 fucking shows in one night
in New York last night.
Yeah, and one up in Connecticut. But the thing is, you know, the point is now, you know, for the first time in 18 months, people have a choice to go somewhere to enjoy what they liked, what they were doing pre-pandemic.
Right. All right. Good enough. And Sid,
Hey, I'll add something to that real quick because I know you're going to ditch me soon. All you kids out there that are doing hardcore and stuff, you're going to rediscover and know where it really came from because house parties are going to come back, VFW halls. You know, have it at the first aid station again and be like COVID friendly. Get it? Like, oh, if anything goes wrong, the EMS is right here. But I'm just saying, this is where the roots of it come from. Because I've seen, you know, all my old bands were at someone's house or at a backyard party. So keep the scene alive. It's up to us, man. Regardless of what we do, it reflects all of us, you know?
All right, Rat. I'll see you later.
Later, guys.
Hey, Sid, what happened? Yo, I was watching the show and some dude fell out right in front of me, right?
Yeah, fortunately, somebody I knew from Jersey. I mean, we don't really know what happened. Hopefully, like, you know, it may have been from heat exhaustion, or
it wasn't that hot in there, bro.
Or he possibly had a seizure.
I didn't see him have a seizure, and he didn't hit his head.
I mean, he
was literally standing right in front of me. First he buckled, right? He like almost went down, and then they kind of propped him back up on the railing, and then like 2 minutes after that, it was like somebody pulled the plug. He just went, boop.
Maybe somebody roofied him.
Yeah, it
Well,
was almost like
hopefully not. I mean, he was through the entire time he was breathing. I mean, he wasn't like alert, but he was breathing, so that was a start. So
yeah,
luckily,
it was a big dude.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was
luckily,
a big, right in front of me. Boom.
yeah. I mean, but luckily though, EMS did show up when they did. Did what they had to do, and as they carted him out, he started to like semi be conscious and like be
I
aware
thought
of
it
where
was
he
like a new
was.
dance or something.
But like hopefully the guy's all right now. Safe and sound.
Do the pass out.
All right, hey Sid, I'll talk to you in a bit. I'll see you later for record of the week.
Alrighty.
But in the meantime, here we go. Here we go. Wrong answers only. This is photo of the day. Here we go. Boom. So, okay. Wrong answers. Now, give him a clue. This was last night, right?
This was last night.
This was last night. So here we go. Is it Melissa? Is it Melissa Etheridge?
Let's say.
Is it? Yeah, that's what it was. It's the drop and sleep. It's the new dance move. It's the drop and sleep. Everybody's doing it. You just sort of like you're watching the band, and then you just kind of go, and you just lay out on the ground.
Like narcolepsy.
It's you know what? You know what I bet? You know what I bet? I bet it was those fucking strobe lights that probably put that guy out, man.
That happens to people. That's why they have the signs on the door usually.
Well, John Lydon doesn't let this. He's like no strobe lights at his show. All right, is it Gigi Allen? Is it Meatloaf? Is it someone looking for a toilet? Is it a demonstration on the proper way to use a public toilet? Is it Hetfield dropping a deuce? Is it Tony Robbins? Is it a constipated Billy Joel?
Wow.
Is it Manowar?
Everything is Manowar.
Manowar, Manowar. Is it dude taking a crap? Yep.
Well, let's throw them a curveball and throw the second picture.
Okay, here's the second picture from the show that Stephen Messina attended last night. This one doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, but here is the second photo from last night. Here we go. Right answers only, please. What do we got here? All right. Is it Phil Collins? Is it Crap Kick? Is it the Rat Bones? That's a good one. I was going to say that. Is it ZZ Top?
It's becoming. It looks like.
Yeah, I don't get this look, man. This look is sort of beyond me. It looks like, is his beard like dreading up? Is it turning?
It literally is. Like if I show you some other shots.
Yeah, I'm not on board.
And his
with that.
beard is growing now up his face. It's like.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Consuming
man.
his.
I'm not
he's
sure.
Becoming.
Listen, whatever, man. I don't really get it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Is it a beautiful guitar?
That guitar, man. He's had that same guitar since day one.
Weirdo? Is it not the Clash? That's good. Yeah, I could smell that beard from here. No shit. I love this dude.
Yeah.
Right. Is it Billy Bo Baggins? Is it the Werewolf of London? Yep. All right, what is it, bro?
Forest Hills Stadium last night. It was Rancid, the Dropkick Murphys, and the Bronx, who I should have sent you a Bronx photo as well because they were fantastic. They have a brand new album that just came out on Friday called Bronx 6. And excellent triple bill. The Murphys and Rancid have been flip-flopping the headlining status all tour. Like they played at Stone Pony the day before and the Murphys headlined it, where last night Rancid headlined it. But they every band brought it. That venue sounds fantastic. I got to tell you, it really does. Forest Hills is a really great sounding place. And
you think it sounds better than Kingsland?
Just a little bit.
Man.
And but they were great. I mean, everybody really brought their A game last night, and I got to shout out Al Barr and everybody at the Murphys. And, it was just such a great time. And actually, a couple of the Murphys, a couple of the Dropkicks jumped up with Rancid at the end. The last time they did this Berkeley to Boston tour, they did an encore set of like 6 songs where both bands played together. But Forest Hills has a hard 10 o'clock curfew, so they weren't able to do that. So a couple of Murphys played with Rancid.
You know why
for
they
one
have
song.
a hard 10 o'clock curfew?
Why is that?
Because they don't want people wandering through that neighborhood late.
Like us.
Well, it's like this super residential high-end neighborhood.
It's really private. They even say on the
they
website.
They don't want shows ending at 11 and people wandering through their neighborhood at 11 o'clock,
If you go to the website, it even encourages you not to drive to that show because they don't want your cars in their parking areas, Yep. But it was a fantastic show. And it's hard to believe, like, these bands have been around for so long now and they're still doing it, man. They still sound great. And, but you really, it was a great night. It was now the second or third show that I had to present my Vax ID for, which is, this is the way of the world now, but had no problem with that. And otherwise, it was really good. Got a shout out Busky and Warren, ran into them last night, and Steve Gallo and Johnny Bagpipes. We had a really good time. It was just a great night.
You know who I got to shout out? I got to shout out one of my main patrons, Timothy Reichel. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, bro. And I want to shout out his 5 cats.
Yes.
May Esmeralda, Penelope, Charlotte, sometimes Stagger Lee. And I'm not sure if I don't know if it's Charlotte sometimes, and then there's another cat named Stagger Lee, and then the last cat is Iceberg Slim. So happy birthday, bro.
So has he got 1 boy and 4 girls?
I don't know.
Damn.
He's in the chat room, bro. What are you, a crazy old cat lady or something? Who's got 5 fucking cats, dude?
I got 1. He's more than enough. He's a handful.
Yep. So happy birthday, Timothy, and thank you for the support.
Happy birthday.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Hey, the last thing I want to say is if you look right behind me, got my hands on the Antidote NYHC test pressing right there.
Jeez.
Pretty goddamn cool. And I got it autographed. So, pretty cool. Take that.
You guys that collect that stuff, I don't know. All right. Well, here you go. How about it? It's Sunday shout out day. It's good to see everybody out there. Let's have some fun. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, and since 1992, Generation Records. It's been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs as well. Yo, didn't some reggae dude pass away? Passed away. Somebody, I just saw it as I was building the show. Who passed away in the reggae world? Lee Scratch Perry, right? Lee Scratch Perry passed away. As well as T-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. And of course, New York Hardcore Comics opened in 2013, selling comic books, punk rock, and hardcore memorabilia, toys, statues, skateboard decks, vinyl, and all things horror. We love helping bands push their demos and new tracks, so please stop by and drop off your new music. We have in-store events like Magic the Gathering and Warhammer tournaments, plus meet and greets with bands and some live performances. Open 7 days a week and shipping worldwide. Find us online through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and eBay. Located at 117 Main Street in lovely Dobbs Ferry, New York. www.newyorkhardcorecomics.com. Also, last but not least, DTFM Vinyl Distro is a record store that specializes in underground music, punk, ska, hardcore, metal, and more. located in the heart of Fargo, North Dakota's industrial district. Shop in person or online at www.dtfmvinyldistrict.com, where the motto is death to false metal. Yeah, was I right? Yeah, Lee Scratch. Yeah, rest in peace to Dub Father, Lee Scratch Perry. That's right. I just caught that as I was coming on. Yeah, I mean, how old was that dude? Right? Damn. Boy. Yeah. Yeah, Lee Scratch Perry, Lee Scratch Perry, Lee Scratch Perry. I get it. Yeah. No, not Toots. Lee Scratch Perry. You know? Shout out to John Harmon watching the show live today. Too Short concert got canceled. Where are you, bro? In San Francisco? Where does Too Short play? Right? 85. Speaking of 85, I'm going to Florida tomorrow to spend some time with Arnie Stone, who's a little bit older than 85. But there is no show. There is no show this Wednesday. There'll be a Patreon show, a private Patreon show. But I just want to mention upcoming shows before we bring our guest on. Coming up a week from today. Hey, it's a week from today. Stickman is coming on the show. The infamous James Stickman Rahman from Fury of 5, Box Cutter, and 25 to Life. Then Wednesday, September 8th, I know he's in the chat room. Walter Monster Ryan is coming on. Powerhouse, Possessed, Madball, Marauder, Sub-Zero, Lords of Brooklyn, DRI, your band here. Sonny Singh is on September 15th, fellow filmmaker. Looking forward to talking to him. And then we just announced this the other day, Sunday, September 19th, from Power Flow, Fear Factory, and Violence, Christian Old Wolbers. This will be a good one. Yes, Walter's coming on the show. Yes, Christian is coming on the show. He's a legend. Yes, not sure who you're talking about, but yes, he's a legend. Flotsam and Jetsam had to cancel the show in San Francisco last week because some of the band wasn't vaccinated. Shit, you know what? We're playing in San Francisco next month, and we're all vaccinated. So if the show's happening, we'll see you in San Francisco. All right? There you go. Yeah, of course. Walter played drums in DRI. Where you been? Where you been living under a rock? All right. So that said, let's bring our guest on. He's been very patient. Let me clear the deck. Here we go. Yo. Today's guest on Shout Out Sunday is an American punk rock guitarist and bassist hailing from the Empire State of New York. He's had an incredibly proficient career and is notable for being a pioneer in the American crust punk style, blending punk and heavy metal. His influence can be seen currently in countless metal and punk bands. He is known for his work with Nausea, Sacrilege, Chaos UK, Reagan Youth, Hellbent, Damage Case, Coffin Daggers, and currently Dying Breed, formerly known as DIYing Breed. Please welcome, coming at us from the borough of Queens in New York City, A7 alumni represent our old friend, Mr. Vic Venom. Brother!
How you doing?
Good to see you, Vic.
Good.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Yeah? What's the latest, man? You know, let's jump into this. Let's just jump into this like right away. I'm gonna say what's the latest, but you know, one thing that I, you know, doing some homework, you know, you have a recording studio and you're involved with an analog recording studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's called Flux Magnetic Studios. It's all analog, 2-inch 16-track, and it's meant, you know, for bands to record like old school, like used to, you know, everybody in the room, amps cranked.
That sounds
pure
great.
analog, you know. And then it ends up digital because no choice at the end.
Right.
Yeah, but
What is that 2-inch or 1-inch?
yeah, 2-inch. 2-inch.
You can still buy 2-inch tape, huh?
Yeah, it's really expensive though.
It is. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that a Studer machine?
Now we
Studer?
have a MCI machine.
Right.
But Studers are like super expensive.
Right.
Even used ones still to this day are like $100,000 or whatever.
Right. And recording yeah, analog is a sort of a lost art these days. So it's awesome that that you're doing that, man. Have you been busy in there?
Yeah, we've been getting clients. It's not it hasn't picked up too much because of the pandemic and all that, but
Right.
We've been doing all right considering.
Mark Tolchup in Canada says, "Let's talk about that amp in the background, Old Champ."
Oh yeah.
Is that what that is?
1959 Fender Champ.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. All right, so hey, how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? Tell us about how you grew up.
Well, I didn't grow up in a musical household. My parents got divorced when I was 5.
Mhm.
And I what do you call it? I think people in my family played music like on my dad's side or whatever, but I don't really know much about that. And yeah, so it's just like I didn't really have much music around except that like what was on TV at the time, like on TV themes and all that.
Yep.
And then like my mom used to listen to country music station in the car, so that was like the first kind of music I was aware of, and then yeah, that's basically it.
I mean, and we've talked about this on the show many times. Like you and I are pretty much the same age. Like growing up in that era, FM radio was so vibrant, man. There was like so much shit going on the radio, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was like, like when I was like, I guess 11, I discovered Kiss, and I was like,
Oh, no, here we go with the Kiss thing again.
well, it's common for people in this.
I get, and you know what? And it's common from someone from Queens. It's Kiss and the Ramones.
Yeah, well, they're right from up the block,
Yeah, right. I mean, I was born in Forest Hills, so
Yeah, but
yeah.
So that was like the gateway drug into like rock and roll,
Yeah.
And then I got into like Alice Cooper and like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, the whole thing. Classic rock before it was classic, when it was just rock still,
Yeah. Well, I remember when we were growing up, like WPLJ.
Oh yeah, NEW and all that.
And they beat that shit to death, like The Who and
totally.
Oh God, yeah. And I think that's before it was even called classic rock. It was
just rock. It wasn't like classic rock yet.
WPLJ played like, you turn it on, it would be like Led Zeppelin, Peter Frampton, The Who, more Led Zeppelin. It was like,
well, it's still the same exact playlist on
yeah,
classic rock radio.
Yeah, brutal. And how did you pick up guitar, and why guitar?
Well, after I got into rock music, I just got immediately attracted to playing guitar. It was like, a thing,
And you just gravitated straight to guitar?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. What's the first stuff you started playing? Kiss stuff?
No, strangely enough, I kind of bypassed that. Like probably like Zeppelin stuff.
That's cool.
And what do you call it? And then like what I really learned all like the real heavy rhythm stuff, like from Sabbath and that,
Yeah. Yeah, that's Sabbath is a big one. And how did you start playing with people? What was your first band? How did you get out there and start playing with people?
Well, just from people in my school or in the neighborhood or whatever, and just get together. Like there was this drummer I knew used to get together in his basement and just try to play stuff,
And did you grow up? What part of Queens did you grow up in?
Flushing.
There you go. Chip Love got it. A Flushing OG, right? What?
I grew up in Washington Heights first, and then when I was about 9, we moved to Flushing.
Right. Flushing's changed through the years, huh?
Yeah, I don't even recognize it anymore.
Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. What was Damage Case? Tell us about it. Was Damage Case the first band?
Well, not really like the first band, but like the first thing, like kind of approaching a listenable kind of band, and And that was all just like kind of like metal covers and that kind of stuff. Wasn't anything noteworthy or anything like that.
Wasn't that isn't Damage Case, isn't that a Motorhead?
Yeah, that was a Motorhead song, you know. That's like the typical band thing, name yourself after a song or whatever. You know?
You just reminded me, was it, and we're gonna get into this. You just reminded me, did did Hellbent play Ace of Spades?
No, not that I can think of. No.
What do I remember? Who used to do Ace of Spades? Was it Reagan Youth?
Reagan
Youth, that's it. It just popped into my head. Yeah, Reagan Youth used to play, but Damage Case played like A7 and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, like what happened is like at one point, you know, I got into like the new wave of British heavy metal, and that was kind of happening.
Give us an example, like what bands resonated with you when you say like what really rang your bell? Yeah, pull a couple out. Well, yeah, of course, right. Fuck yeah, right. Yeah, give us some examples.
Then, like I said, that one's huge.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
that's like big influence on Nausea. Actually,
are those all your original records from back in the day?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
And then this one was big too. You know.
Well, is that where you got? Is that where you got the moniker Vic Venom?
Yeah, I had it on my jacket. People started calling me that. You know.
That's back then. Back then, it's like if you had a mohawk, you were Joe Mohawk. If you had Venom on your jacket, you were Vic Venom.
If you were carrying a bed, you're Joe Mattress. You know.
Right. Exactly, man.
But
Diamond Head was from that as well. Sure.
Yeah,
right?
so we were doing that kind of stuff, and then around that time, I started getting into like heavier stuff, and then this one.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah, and then
which is still holds up to this day.
Oh
man.
yeah, it's a great record. And
I mean, still to this day, man.
And then from there, I got into stuff like I started getting into stuff like.
Come on now, bring it.
And all that kind of like 82 British stuff. And then around that time, I met Andy Apathy.
Right.
Only like when I met him, like he was introduced to me as Zap. He used to be Andy Zap. You know. And
is that a graffiti? Is that a graffiti name? What is that?
No, because he was just crazy dust head, when he was a kid. So it was like they called him Zap. So,
yeah, it's like or like Tony Dust, right?
Yeah.
Like if you smoked a lot of dust, you were like Tony Dust.
Yeah. So like I met him and he introduced me to like hardcore stuff. Like he gave me Black Flag record and that, and I realized, oh, this is not just this English thing; it just exists over here, And so I started going to shows with them, the A7 and all that kind of stuff. And I was lucky enough to see, like the early AF shows and that, the early lineups and all that.
Sure.
That was like really eye-opening because I suddenly realized, well, this is like a real thing, And it was so different than everything else that was like, kind of presented to us, And then so he talked us into like, oh, you guys got to play a show. And he said, well, actually 2+2 first.
Right. And for those that don't know, 2+2 was an A7. They called it the A7 Annex. It was on 2nd Avenue. It was in a warehouse building, right? I think it was like a couple of flights up. There was no stage. It was just like on the floor of a fucking big empty warehouse that they were doing construction in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So he got us a gig there, So then like I was like, oh, what are we gonna play? So we did a bunch of like Motorhead covers and that kind of stuff, And that went pretty good. I mean, I never been in a place like that before, that kind of thing, And so that was very kind of attractive to me. But the other guys that I was playing with, they weren't that into it at all, And so like that kind of fell apart shortly after that.
And then, if I'm getting the timeline correctly, let's talk about this band. This is a band I saw a bunch of times. This was a great band. Let's talk about this band here. What is this?
Well, this is Hellbent.
Yeah, man.
And that's at the Rock Hotel. And that's That's at we opened up for Sam Hain. That was like Sam Hain's first show.
Right.
And there's an interesting story behind that.
Please.
But that was like, that wasn't actually like right away. That was maybe like almost a year later.
Yeah.
That we formed. Like before that, we tried to form a band with me, Andy, Al Pike, and Charlie Tripper, and this other guy singing. And we had like one rehearsal, but it didn't really click.
Right.
Everybody on a different page. So that didn't go very far. And then maybe like, about a half year after that, like I was outside CB's and talking to Matt Zombie,
Yep.
and we just struck on the idea, let's make a band. And I, like, as you did back then. And John Wiley was standing a few feet away. It's like, who are we going to get to play bass? Hey, John, you want to play bass? Sure, no problem. And then over to the other side was remember that band Squirm?
Of course.
Yeah, Scott, the drummer, he was standing right there. They had just broken up. It's like, hey, you want to play drums? Yeah, cool. Next thing we know, we're practicing. And that's the first show we played. Was
I was at this show. It was New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve 83, 84. It was the Undead, Hellbent, and Discharge.
Right. And that was we had Annette from Freebeing.
Listen, she loved you guys, bro.
She was our manager.
She was your biggest fucking fan, man.
She got us that gig right away. She introduced us to Chris Williamson.
Yeah.
And like he was kind of shady or whatever, but he got us that, like we got that gig opening up for them. And it's really weird because that band was only around like 7 months tops, and we played so many shows and a lot. But yeah, at that show, after that show, Annette came up to me and was like, "Oh, Glenn really wants to talk to you, And so like she takes me over to Danzig, and he goes to me like, "Oh, so you want to make some money or what?" And he asked me to like join Sam Hain, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, "Well, like who approaches somebody like that? Like you want to make some money or what?" Like, so then, like I thought about it, but I didn't really like what they were doing, and so I just kind of never called them back or anything. And
what could have been, right?
Yeah, but actually, not very recently, it kind of dawned on me. Like, our drummer was Brian Keats,
and he
was the last Misfits drummer,
and that didn't go well.
Broke up, and he played the gig where like he completely fucked it up because he was too drunk, and like they were a disaster, and so they blamed him for breaking up the Misfits, right? So then it kind of dawned on me that like maybe he was asking me to join the band not because I was so great or anything, but maybe he was just trying to fuck up our band, that just thought flashed on me the other day. It was like kind of funny.
You guys were great. I mean, you guys were great, and you had it going on. You really did. I mean, you were sort of you were unique. You guys had it going on. And Matt was a pretty good front man.
Yeah, he was great on stage, but he was a piece of work, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, he still is, thankfully.
Yeah, it's sort of amazing he's still around, man.
Yeah, I mean I haven't seen him since like the 80s or whatever, but there he is. And but yeah, I mean the band kind of fell apart because he was just so out of control, like
Yeah, man, drugs and alcohol ruin everything in the end.
He would literally just take somebody could hand him a bunch of pills and he'd take them. He didn't care what it even was, And
yeah, he ran at it hard, man. And I remember he was a handsome young guy, and I just want to say drugs and alcohol will ruin everything.
Yeah, I mean, none of us were saints or anything like that, but he was completely off the hook. So it just burned pretty fast.
He was. But when we were young, it was kind of cool. You had a wild front man, but he was off the rails, man.
Yeah. Well, it's that kind of thing. On stage, it's great, but off stage, it's so hard to deal with. Like,
and it's also the unpredictability of it, right? Is he going to show up at practice? Is he going to can he write any lyric, and like, yeah, it's exhausting, man.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately I thought that band could have done a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
We did a lot in such a short period, but it just fell apart. It was unsustainable,
Yeah, right. And after that, And I know a lot of this stuff happens concurrently, but tell us about Reagan Youth and how you ended up in Reagan Youth.
Well, that was a really weird situation. How that came about, like, right at like kind of pretty much after Hellbent like fell apart. Like Dave called me up one day out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to come down and play some leads? It's Ted Nugent type leads or whatever." And they were doing this kind of thing that I don't know what the fuck it was about. It was like some sort of spoof called Freeway. It was like a Spinal Tap thing or whatever. And they were like, "No more Reagan Youth for Freeway now." And it was like,
What?
rock and all this kind of shit. So I showed up to like Giant Studios, like the old Giant Studios.
Oh yeah, sure, man. $6 an hour, bro.
Yeah. And I walk in and there's this like Rasta guy on the drums, and next thing I know, I'm playing the bass, and they're telling me like, "Oh, we're going on tour, and we're making a movie, and you're playing Al Pike's part," and all this like, and then pretty much soon after that, I think we played a show at CB's, and then we went on tour with the Yippies on the RIR tour, like across America, and that was a trip, and we also booked our tour concurrently with that. So we played all like their big demonstration shows at the state capitals or whatever, and then we did our own shows on the side.
Reagan Youth was good like that. Our friend Al says you were much more accomplished as a guitarist compared to the other New York hardcore bands right from the start. So I think he was referencing Hellbent, but yeah, your guitar prowess right out of the gate was kind of like a step above sort of the Neanderthalic, like you.
Well, I could already play guitar pretty good by the time I even discovered this stuff. So
that's right. Yep. And here's a shot. I guess being that Dave's wearing a tie-dye, this has got to be like 85 or something, right?
Something like that. It's like almost like around the time I joined the band, he started getting on this weird kind of trip of like Jesus, Grateful Dead, Hare Krishna kind of, but it was all real half baked. None of it seemed like very serious or anything like that. I didn't know what he was on about half the time. Like, and so it was weird because it wasn't the band I thought I was joining.
Yeah.
And and it was just slowly going in that direction, and it was just kind of like weird. Like,
yeah. John Harmon says I saw you at Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach with Reagan Youth.
Yeah, that was I think that was the second tour we did, like
right
in like 87, I think, or something like that.
Any memories, anything come to mind about Dave, who passed away very young, and who was a really Dave was a fun guy, man. I had some fun with Dave.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good guy, and he was a really smart guy, and he was super charismatic, you know. And I remember, like, I was kind of always fascinated by he could go on stage and just talk utter shit, just babble all this crap, and people would be enthralled, like listening to him, like he's like handing them all this wisdom and stuff like that. So
yeah, I remember. Yeah,
he kind of had that quality to his personality.
Sure.
But then another guy, he started doing heroin, and that just did him in, Drugs
and alcohol will fuck up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And but I know what you're talking about. He used to just kind of wander out on stage and just be like, blah, 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 blah. And people would just be like, you know, he really used to, he was a smart guy, man. And he was fun. I hung out with him a bunch of times, and yeah, he's missed, man. He died very young, man. Very sad.
Yeah. But like part of the real problem, that I had being in that band was that it was almost like false advertising at a certain point, because the first record came out and it was, it was a pretty, punk rock hardcore record. And then but they were going into like this like Grateful Dead kind of like jammy kind of thing,
Yeah.
And like, so it's like people didn't even know what to make of that half the time, especially towards the end. I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I couldn't deal with the personalities and all the problems and shit. So I had a real hard time dealing with Paul, and so then I quit.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's after after Reagan Youth, and you were pretty proficient. You went to one thing from next. Was this next?
Well, that was kind of concurrent with Reagan Youth.
Explain how that worked.
Because when I joined Reagan Youth and we went on tour right away, you know, when we spent some time in San Francisco, right? And pretty much like a couple months before I went on tour, Adam Mucci had moved to San Francisco. He was like, I had enough in New York. I'm going to San Francisco. You know?
And that's Mooch on bass, right?
Pardon? Yeah, that's him.
Adam on bass. Yeah,
that's him.
And this, for those that don't know, this is Sacrilege.
Yeah, that's Sacrilege.
Yeah, man.
And so, he went to San Francisco, and then I met him when I was out there, out in San Francisco, and he was already ready to come back to New York. And I actually ran into Big Rob out there. Which
from Bitter Uproar.
Because it was like California was new to me, so it was kind of cool seeing people that I knew there, you know. But what do you call it?
Was that the Vats? The Vats in San Francisco?
The Vats was gone by that point. It had closed down a few months before we even got there, or whatever, or maybe a year before, something like that. But so Adam wanted to come back to New York, and I was just kind of, I don't know about Reagan. I don't know what the fuck this is about, you know. And so we were like, oh, let's make a band. Because I wanted to play guitar anyway, and so I was like, we were like, let's make a band when we get back to New York. So he went back, and then I came back to New York, and so we started Sacrilege. I was still in Reagan Youth, but we that's Clay Rice on vocals and Timothy Copeland on the drums. They were both from Virginia Beach, and so we were trying to do like a Discharge kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that band lasted about a year.
People loved it. People love this fucking band, bro.
Yeah, it was like the kind of like early like D beat kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like in New York. So then like I think we were around for about a year doing that kind of stuff, and then we went up to Montreal because there was this guy that was doing this connection thing with Montreal and New York.
Yeah, the New York Montreal. Was it
Connection 85 or something like that?
Yeah. I remember that.
And so we went up to Montreal to play, and when we were just bumming around in Montreal, we ran into the guys from Voivod on the street. So like they invited us over to their place and stuff, and like we hung out with them. They let us rehearse in their rehearsal studio.
Isn't Voivod from Montreal?
Yeah, they're from Montreal.
Got it.
So I think that kind of influenced us to get like more metal or something. So then like pretty soon after, we just kind of morphed into this kind of like almost like black metal band, like pretty much overnight. And so on that record that came out a couple years ago, half of it's the Discharge type stuff and the other half's like the black metal type stuff. And it's really funny because it's all within like a year and a half of each other, you know?
Well, we always say that back then, like, time moved very slow.
Oh, like a month was like a year back then.
Yeah.
And so then so that's comprised of the demos that we did in at Don Fury's and at both studios. And that, but then pretty much after we started doing like the black metal stuff, the band kind of fell apart. And like Clay, the singer, he moved back to Virginia Beach, and then Adam started playing with Raging Slab, I think. Right. And he kind of lost interest. And so we were supposed to put out a 7-inch with this Italian label. And it got as far as this test pressing, but then we fell apart and it just never came out.
Is it safe to say that Sacrilege was like a Nausea prototype?
Pretty much. If you look at like Hellbent and Sacrilege, you can see a straight line. Like,
yeah, I almost always
some of
felt
the same riffs in there too, like, you know.
Yeah, I always felt that like Sacrilege was like really like the prelude, you know, to what came after. Like you were sort of figuring it out, and then okay, I got it. Nausea, right?
Yeah, it was like tinkering with it, I guess, you know.
Yeah,
because it's like I said, we went like real black metal at the end, and then we kind of like, I guess I reeled it back a little bit, back towards more of the '82 stuff, and that gave you Nausea, I guess.
Tell us about Nausea, like and how it came together, and sort of what was the general ethos of the band.
Okay, well, what happened there was like when Sacrilege fell apart. Well, before we broke up, we were going to change the name of the band because there was already 2 other bands using that name. And I think one in California or Vancouver, something, and one in England. So that's like one too many sacrileges. So we were like, we got to change the name. So I thought of the name Nausea.
Right.
And Adam was good with it. But then like Tim, the drummer, he was like, I don't like that name, whatever. But then like the whole band fell apart. So I was kind of stuck with a bunch of songs and that name. And then John was playing was trying to get something together with Neil Robinson, this English guy that was living in New York. And so I got together with them. We started playing. And
Neil was singing, right?
Yeah, Neil was singing.
Yeah.
And so I bought in like four of my songs or Sacrilege songs, and they had like 4 songs, and and we just kind of built it from there. And we had this guy Brian Patton playing drums, and he was also from Virginia Beach. He was part of the same crew with those 2 guys from Sacrilege. And what do you call it? He was actually General Patton's great grandson, I think.
Oh wow!
Well, correctly, which is kind of funny. But he wasn't really a drummer, and he had enough in New York as well, so he left. And then we got Pablo on the drums. And
I don't remember Pablo.
Pablo used to, what band? He played in Knockout James before us. And
okay. I mean, I certainly remember Little Roy. I remember.
Yeah,
Roy.
But he was before Roy. So like we, and I think he came into the band around the same time as Amy did.
Right. And what was the concept of like, let's bring in another singer and let's bring in a female, because that was way different that was very unique at the time.
Well, it was kind of like, we liked that whole thing where like of the singers being able to trade off, and it's like relentless. Like you got one singer, and then they're tired, and the next one, keeps going.
Yeah.
And then we also like the male female thing.
Right.
That was kind of like a good balance for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea. And I guess we were influenced by Crass as well, so I think that kind of came from that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a Nausea European tour shot, right?
Yeah, I think that's in Poland.
Is that Todd from the Radix behind you?
Yeah, that's Todd. We were kind of like, we weren't touring with them, but our tours were concurrent with the same promoter, and we kind of crisscrossed a bunch of times.
Hey, you played a lot of Strats, right?
Yeah, mostly.
Any particular why?
Well, I had an SG, and then one day that broke, the neck broke.
Right.
And so then I needed a guitar, so I got that. That's like a Fernandez Strat copy.
Right.
That I got off some guy for $100, and I just got used to playing that.
When I think of Nausea, I think of the Lower East Side. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, we were concurrent with all the stuff that was happening, all the housing stuff and all that, all the squatting and all that.
Were you living down there at the time, or you always lived out in Queens?
No, I was living there before. When I was in Reagan Youth, I was living on Avenue B.
Yeah.
And but that was a terrible living situation. And so by the time Nausea's gone, I was living back in Queens.
Yeah. You tapped out,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was living in a railroad apartment with Nats, Aileen, Harley, and Minot, and like a bunch of whoever the hell else was like crashing there. It was like real crazy living situation.
Was that a squat?
No, it was some apartment that was on rent strike. I think it was Nats's apartment originally. Sheesh. And it was on rent strike, so like no one was paying anything,
How'd you fit so many people in there?
God knows. Everybody had like their curtained off little corner,
Is that right? Al says you brought over some songs from Sacrilege to Nausea.
Yeah, like four or 5 songs.
Right. And then with Nausea, like at what point did sort of that lineup that is pretty much well known with Amy and Al and Roy, when did that sort of crystallize?
Well, that happened. I guess we were together for like 3 years at that point.
Mhm.
Like we started at like 80, 86. And so around like, I guess 88 maybe, Neil had a hissy fit and quit for reasons that I still don't have straight. And he was very difficult to work with because had this like my way or the highway kind of mentality.
Yeah, that always works well in a band.
Yeah, so that came to a head, and like I said, I still don't understand why he got mad and quit, but he got mad and quit. And so then we played a few shows with Amy, just Amy singing, and by that point, like we had gotten rid of Pablo because Pablo was doing heroin, and it became increasingly unreliable, and the rest. And
drugs and alcohol will ruin everything.
Yep, especially bands. So
it will ruin 1, bands, 2, relationships, 3,
your life.
Your life.
But yeah, so then we parted company with him, and then we got Jim Williams on the drums.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jimmy played drums, right?
Yeah, he was with us for a few years, and that was a really good time with him. He's a great drummer, great guy,
Right.
And I guess, and then he at one point, right around the time Neil quit, he wanted to do like the maximum penalty thing because I guess he wanted to be a front guy.
Yeah, like all drummers do.
Yeah, it's a drummer disease. But what do you call it? So he wanted to do that kind of thing. So he left the band shortly after Neil. We played a few shows with just Amy singing, and then Jimmy quit, and then we were supposed to do a split LP with Misery from Minneapolis,
right?
And they had just like had a big fight with their singer Al, and so somehow somebody got the bright idea to ask him to join us. So he came out to join us, and then I guess John got Roy into the band. I'm not sure, but they both came into the band around the same time.
Must have been nice having Roy in the band, man.
Oh yeah, well he took it to another level. I mean,
yeah, man. Roy was, even as a young person, Roy had chops, man.
Oh yeah, I mean he had his own thing going for sure. Absolutely, he definitely like gave us a lot to work with.
Yeah. Now you guys went over to Europe a couple times, right? Like wasn't the first time in 86?
No, 89.
Oh, I'm sorry, 89.
Yeah, no, 1990. It was 1990.
Okay. Were you? What was that experience like? Were you embraced over there? Did it go well initially?
Yeah, that was great. That was like amazing experience.
Yeah.
We had just put out our album, and we had Sid, the singer from Cheetah Crow Motherfuckers.
Right.
He was doing tour promoting at that point, so he asked us to go over there and tour and whatnot. So he booked it for us, and it was great. I mean, I just fell in love with a lot of those places. I mean,
and I remember you guys used to go over there and go kind of, you guys would go pretty deep, you'd go to a lot of the places off the beaten path, right?
Well, we went to Eastern Europe,
and you guys would play like
down, so it was like
squats.
that was the trip because it was like
Squats,
it was still
right?
like communist days,
Yeah.
Even though like the communists had just gone away, so everything was still kind of like in that mode.
Yeah.
So it was really weird, like. But it was cool. Like, I mean, and it was great to like be able to like, you go to like some Slavic country, like, Poland or Czech Republic or whatever. And what you're singing about and what you're doing, these kids that grew up completely different and you relate to it and find something of value in it,
Right.
I mean, that was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. What else? It's about that time. Let me shout out a couple of sponsors. Let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll do album of the week with Sid the Kid, and we'll talk about Chaos UK and the Coffin Daggers and Dying Breed. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, there you go. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and today's guest is our old friend Vic Venom. It is Shout Out Sunday. If you want to shout anybody out, who else do I need? I got to shout out to Take, Scott Roberts and Will Shepler and Carlos. I saw them play last night. I love that band. It's one of my favorite bands, The Take, and it was good to see, honestly, I got to say, it was good to see a lot of the New York Skins out there. I enjoy shows like that. I really do. I like those shows. I like that crowd. I want to shout out my dad, Arnie Stone. I want to shout out Jonathan Wiley and Anthony Mucci. And someone told me that it's the anniversary. Was it 11 years since we did the Gallery East reunion show that we shot for the film I directed, XXX All Ages XXX, the Boston hardcore film. That was 11 years ago today. It was a hell of a show. A hell of a show. What else? Anybody want to shout anything out? Let's get it on. In the meantime, how about the Texas Silver Rush? It's a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. During this current never-ending pandemic, all information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Fear not, friends, Romans, and countrymen. Located in Corpus Christi, Chacho's Tacos opened their doors in 2001, home of the almighty Chacho's Taco. They cook up an incredible home-style Tex-Mex food, and this month they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. They've been supporting underground music since the beginning, and in their own words, we ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Touring bands that play Corpus Christi, swing by and get a home-cooked meal at Chacho's Tacos. We got you. We got you. Get got at Chacho's Tacos. The underground scene will never die. Never, ever. Please follow them on Facebook or on Instagram. I want to mention, of course, you know this already. There is a Patreon page. And listen, you know what? You know what's great about this show? Even though that I'm not human, I've recently discovered that I'm a replicant. But I was created to do this show. Could be worse. Some people leave the Patreon thing and wander off into the desert, and new people come on and discover the show and go, yo, wow, you know what? I like this show and I want to support it. And, that's what it's about. The show doesn't magically happen, honestly. I want to shout out a couple new patrons. Denise LeBeau, Nicholas, and an old friend of mine. He's going under an alias, Senzo. If you're watching, Senzo, I love you, bro. And we grew up together. And it really means a lot when somebody from my past steps up and supports the show in a big way. I can't tell you how much that means, man. What do you mean? What happened to the Bobby Steele show? It's on YouTube, bro. You want the link? Go on my YouTube. What happened? What you tell me? It's there. Come on, Jesse. Help me help you. The Bobby Steele is on YouTube. Jonathan, thank you. Long live New York hardcore and the Chronicles. Jonathan Wiley, man. Hellbent alumni. Look at Jonathan Wiley, man. One of the most calm, level-headed people I know. Could you imagine being in that band? Poor bastard. Okay, here he is. Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday, Timothy. One of my solid patrons. How can I be crazy with four? Is it four cats? I couldn't figure it out, bro. May Esmeralda, Penelope, Charlotte, sometimes Stagger Lee. Okay. So Charlotte and Stagger Lee are the same cat, and Iceberg Slim. Okay. Does Iceberg Slim pimp out the other cats? Like, what's up with that? And of course, shouting out your girlfriend, Lori. at Tim's. So there you go. What's up, Sally? Good afternoon, Sally. Get Scott Earth on. Scott Earth's been on, bro. You want him on again? We'll bring him on again for you. We'll bring Scott Earth on for you again. You know what? While we're talking about bring people on, I know I announced this before. This is the 150th show. Can you believe it? 100. It's actually been more than 150 shows when you consider that we've done a couple bonus episodes, but for all intents and purposes, this is the 150th show. Sunday, October 3rd. Listen, never say never. Paris Mayhew is coming on the show. Filmmaker, musician, of course. He's got a project now, Agros. He was a founding member of Cro-Mags. Did a bunch of other stuff. I have a history with him. He directed many music videos that I produced through my company, Stone Films NYC. As a matter of fact, those are a couple of gold records right there that we did together. That's Onyx Slam, double platinum. That is a Run DMC. And up top there is the Typo Negative that we did together. So this is going to be a great show. Yeah, man. Listen, one thing I learned, you know what? One thing I learned a long time ago, never as, or as my dad would say, as hold on, as Arnie Stone would say, you never know. I don't say no to anything, man. Who knows? Who knows? You never know. Paris is coming on the show. You never know, which is great. Listen, man, I'll bring anybody on the show for the most, like within reason, right? But yeah, that's what's up. So got a lot of great shows coming up, and get David Johansen on. Sure, you want to get in touch with him for me? Love to have David Joe on the show. You know who I could actually? Dick Manitoba could probably get on the show. Yes, can't wait for the Paris show. Good. Glad to know you're paying attention. Hi, Andrea Katz. I hope you're well, hon. And he does. Iceberg Slim pimps out the other cats. That's cool. Some cat pimping. Get the Plasmatics members on. Like who? Who from the Plasmatics do you want to see on this show? Jean Beauvoir? That'd be interesting. I'd like to talk to Jean Beauvoir, actually. I was the one who said never. Never. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Identify this item. So there you go. Yeah, we might get Dick on. All right, let's clear the deck. There's the Patreon page. Don't be shy. Pretty much announced everything else. There's a couple other shows in the works. Can't announce them just yet, but they're happening. They're happening. They are happening. Let's clear the deck. Make sure. All right, cool. Let's bring on our guest, Mr. Vic Venom. Hey, man.
Hey.
How you doing over there?
I'm all right.
Yeah. Let's get rid of this. Let's do record of the week. Let's bring Sid on. What's up, Sid?
What's going on, guys?
What shirt is that?
Oh, this lovely shirt right here,
Yeah.
from Buffalo's own Violent Way. Guys. Second show they played, and they brought it. They brought it last night.
I watched them for a little bit last night.
But in the words of Drew Stone,
They're right. No, they were good, man. Buffalo Oi. No, listen, they were good. For the second show, they were good.
Exactly. I mean, like, I was very impressed by it. Like, they didn't even do a show yet when they released a 7-inch.
Bro, this is the deal with Kingsland. If your band is like okay at Kingsland, your band's probably friggin' great. Because if you can survive that sound system in that room, which makes everybody sound like this, right? Then chances are, I mean, that fucking sound system in that club, man, it's like a fucking transistor radio. It's unbelievable, man.
Well, hey, Drew, we got to hear that in stereo, so that was pretty damn amazing.
Remember that? Remember when that was like the funniest thing in the world?
It still is.
Ah!
I don't know what the hell you talking about. It still is.
I used to do that with my kid. Like, the kid would just fall out laughing.
Hey.
It was the funniest thing. I wish life was simple like that again. Can we make life simple like that again?
I mean, honestly, look,
Yeah,
farts are funny.
shout out to Buffalo. Yeah, that's you know what? I love seeing oi bands, man. I just, good shit. All right, let's do this together. Here we go. This is album
and
of
Vic,
the week.
this is a surprise, Vic, and I told Drew not to tell you.
Okay.
I was
All right,
on his
here we
case
go.
last night over this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, album of the week. Boom. Yeah. So,
there you go.
all right.
Oh yeah.
So Sid, I know you were very excited about doing album of the week today. Tell us a little bit about this.
All right, guys. This might be a little longer than usual, but I condensed it as much as I could, and it was a lot. So, all right, guys. So when you hear the term punk rock, it's always been used quite a bit over the decades. When you hear that term, what are the bands you think of? Automatically you would think the Sex Pistols, Iggy Pop, but this band is mentioned in general in the sense nobody has a clue who the fuck this band is. In all genres of music, everything starts from the beginning, from the ground up, and this is one of those examples. This is The Feeding of the 5,000, which is obviously the first album from Crass. I believe the album was recorded on October 29th, 1978 by John Loder at Southern Studios in London, England, and was released later within the same year on the band's own label, showing that real true DIY aspect. Now, the album artwork itself, is super iconic. For those who know, G. Voucher was basically the artist who've done all of Crass's stuff from beginning to the end of the band. It was considered a very revolutionary record in its time due to what it was considered an extreme sound, frequently profane lyrical content, and the anarchistic, political ideals in the lyrics themselves. The album also saw the introduction of Crass's policy of ensuring cheap prices for their records. This album is considered one of the first punk albums to expound serious, anarchistic, philosophies. Now, when you see the title itself, most people don't get it, but The Feeding of the 5,000 is a well-known phrase in Christian tradition, being the name of a biblical miracle in which a small amount of food is said to have fed 5,000 people. Now, according to the band's drummer and spokesman, Penny Rimbaud, we named the album The Feeding of the 5,000 because 5,000 was the minimum number that we could get pressed, and some 4,900 more than we thought that would sell. Feeding is only a few hundred short of going golden, and that's what he quotes. And obviously Crass helped resonate the influence of the campaign for nuclear disarmament and the wider peace campaign in the UK at the time. With songs like They've Got the Bomb, Fight War, Not Wars, and the adoption of the C&D symbol at their live concerts. Just that symbol itself, most punkers know what the fuck that is, basically. And obviously, and I know for a fact this band and album resonates with Vic and so many others watching the show. And,
check this out. It's the first pressing.
Yep, that is the first pressing, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
See, I was originally going to send that to Drew, and Drew was like, wait, is this the original? And I wasn't sure. So I wanted to send the one that everybody knew. Well, most people know about this record.
Well, you sent me this first.
Yep. That is the original.
That's the original cover?
Yep, that's the first pressing.
Oh, wow. Got it. What's on the back, Vix? Let me see the back. Right. You sent me that too, Sid. Right?
Yep. Yeah, like I said, G did so much. I mean, like so many iconic flyers. I mean, she did the backdrops. She did everything like artistically for the band.
All right. Hey, Vic, tell us about, is this a record that resonates with you? Could you tell us about it a little bit?
Great record. It's really raw, and it's kind of like for most people, it's kind of unlistenable, and they got more and more unlistenable.
Yeah. I got to admit, I struggled with it personally. Yeah.
But that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
That's part of their point, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that particular record, that's one of their most punk rock kind of records there is for sure.
And they weren't around that long, really. It was like, I think,
I guess they
No, they
split-
were around till about 84, 85, but like
what,
after
5
1980,
years, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe?
seven, they were around for about 7 years actually. But as the band progressed, like their music got so complicated and nobody didn't know what to think of the band at that point.
Now they don't play as Crass, but individual members sometimes do Crass stuff, right?
Well, mainly Steve Ignorant does now. Now, funny thing about that is he's been a few years back. He did something called The Last Supper, which is basically the last Crash show ever with him. And then he had Penny come up and do 2 songs with him. I've actually recently watched that video. But now, funny thing about that is, you know, when you say The Last Supper, it's the last time. But I'm not going to name certain promoters that have booked them, you know, in America and England as, you know, or continuing as like, you know, performing songs of Crass. When you say you're going to do something and you're going to stick by your words, stick by it. Don't be a fucking hypocrite. You know, that's how I see it.
Listen, don't get righteous on us, man.
Hey, I'm not getting righteous. I only speak the truth, Drew.
Oh, here you go. Wow. Steve Ignorant is playing Rebellion Festival in Blackpool next year. Full Crass set.
So The Last Supper, bullshit Crass, as Special Duties would say.
Listen, bro.
Hey.
Listen, it's music, man. If it brings people joy, don't knock it, you know?
Or maybe a little of this too, Drew.
I want to share something with you guys that on the Crass tip. I've mentioned this. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, that a couple of years ago, a friend of my family who ended up with a career in the he ended up as a cameraman, and he actually was the cameraman on both the Onyx videos, and he was our cameraman, all the Biohazard stuff. But he started out as a production assistant for my dad, and before that, he was in London and doing some he was like just hanging out, and he was doing photography stuff. And he was during 1977, and he shot a whole bunch of bands in 1977. He lives in Cambodia now, and he comes to New York once a year. And I had dinner with him a couple of years ago, and I said to him, whatever happened to those photos that I saw like in the mid 80s? What happened with that stuff? And to make a long story short, he told me this story, and he told me a story about my dad and how my dad gave him his start in the film business, and eventually he had a very proficient career. And he said to me, Drew, the next time I come back to New York, all those negatives are in a storage room in Baltimore at my sister's place. And the next time I come to New York, I want to give them to you as a gift to your family for everything your dad's done for me. I get choked up even telling the story. It was so heavy. So the next time he comes to town, he gives me this, right? This is what later turned out to be 3,000 negatives from the punk scene in London in 1977, right?
And that's a gold mine beyond of just like rare stuff.
So I scanned them all, right? And so let me give you a couple tastes of what was on there, like this, like full negatives, full
Susie and the Banshees,
full contact sheets, you know, all detailed, you know, one after the other, shit like this, mind-blowing stuff. And I have all of it, mind-blowing stuff.
Yep,
you know?
Generation X.
That's right. And so I'm going through this stuff. Here's one more that's very interesting that you might recognize. Boom. You know who that is?
Oh, yes, I do.
That's Don Letts and Ari Up from the Slits.
From the Slits.
Yeah. So these are just a couple. These are just a couple of the photo of the photos that I scanned. Right then,
Those are all like unpublished, huh?
Never before seen. I have them all scanned now. I'm trying to get this New York hardcore book done and out, and then I'm going to circle back to this, and we're going to start putting this together. And so, the cool thing about stuff like this, as I'm scanning the negatives, sometimes there's like the opening band, or I always love like when all that kind of shit. And there's always like those couple of pictures at the end where like those sort of like, what's this? So this band pops up, right? And I sort of have this folder, right? With like question marks, you know what I mean? Like, cause the negative, he basically shot the headlining band. It might say Suxi and the Banshees, Generation X, whatever. But he sort of didn't know who the opening band was. So stuff like this, I'm like, who the fuck is this? Right? I'm like, what the fuck is this? Right? So.
Yep, I know who that is.
Don't say nothing.
I'm not saying I know who it is because
I got to
because the bass player, it's so obvious.
Right.
Because there's not a lot of left-handed bass, but like in a lot of the punk bands at the time didn't have a lot of left-handed bass players.
All right, here's another one. Here's another one from that same like, who the fuck is this band? Right? Here's another one. Right? So I go to I'm a friend. My friend married Tony from the Buzzcocks, right? He's a friend of mine, right? So I go over to Tony's, and Tony was around. I figured, let me show Tony. He might know some of these, right? I open this up, and right away he goes, "Oh, that's Crass." He says that was Crass's third show ever. He remembered it. It was it's before they sort of went in that like punko direction, and like it was this was Crass's like third show.
And that show, Drew, believe it, I mean, they on the Feeding of the 5,000, they have a song called "Banned from the Roxy." It was from that show, that experience they had.
That's right. You know what? You're right about that. He told me. And wait, here's another one. I couldn't figure out who they were. It says the Roxy. See, it's the Roxy behind there, and I couldn't figure out who is this, right? And then, sure enough, it's fucking Crass, man. Isn't that wild, Vic?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kooky.
So it's a kooky world,
especially with that gig too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, specifically just from that Roxy show, because it's really, to my knowledge, and I'm not saying that I'll like look over the internet for certain random punk rock photos, but those early photos of that band at that time don't even fucking exist, like publicly within the internet.
Hardly no photos of them existed, really.
I mean, more in the early '80s, there were photos here and there, but not to the extent of like that many. But even the early stuff on the internet, there's like random little home movies and stuff like that, but nothing to the extent of something that early within their career that's just been shown right now.
Yo, you wouldn't believe some of these pictures. Here's another one. It's mind-boggling. I have 3,000 negatives now. Like shit like this. Like what? What? Right? Adam Ant. Right? I guess Adam Ant, like, and this is what Tony from the Buzzcocks told me. Early on, people loved Adam Ant. He was like, they loved him. I mean, I know him as from like, Goody Two Shoes and shit like that. Apparently,
it looks like Iggy Pop with a perm.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam Ant, man. Let me see if I got one more for the road. One more for the road. Let me find something cool. Let me see if I can find something real cool. How about, oh God, the electric chairs. Remember Jane County and the electric chairs?
See now, another thing about that, Drew, as you're pulling up that photo, Jane County cannot use that name anymore as she performs.
Why?
Because Gene Simmons copyrighted the name for his kid. You could look this up.
What?
He copyrighted the name, and unless Jane throws some money.
What name?
The electric chairs. she cannot use that name to perform unless she throws Mr. some cash.
There you go.
And to be fair, Nick Simmons' band blows dog. I've heard it and it sucks.
Hey, relax, Skipper.
Hey, I love Early Kiss. I just don't like, Mr. Moneymaker.
All right, we took a left turn at the road. It was a cool time. Sid, thank you, man.
All right, and thanks a lot, guys. Vic, I can't wait to hear the Chaos UK stuff, because when you played Stevie's, those Stevie's and Wetlands shows in '94 were fucking nuts.
I have them both on tape too.
Oh, trust me, we all do. It's on people. It's on the internet. You can look this shit up.
All right, Sid, talk to you.
All right, cheers.
Hey, Vic. Alexa says hi.
Hey. Wow, been forever.
Yeah, man. What's up, Alexa? Hope you're well in beautiful upstate New York. What will you do with this photo archive? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. Probably we're gonna put a really nice book together. Yeah, there you go, Steen. Dirk Wears Socks, a brilliant album. Absolutely. You know what I got to do? I'll bring the Greg Smith who shot those photos. We should do a show with him. All right, let's continue on our Vic Venom journey, and let's continue. Being that Sid kind of gave us a little bit of an intro here, let's talk about Chaos UK. How did you end up in a band that is based in the UK, right?
Yeah. Well, when Nausea fell apart, like I wasn't doing anything, and Gabba, the guitar player, Chaos UK, was traveling through America, and he was in New York. And we hung out, and at one point he said, "Hey, join the band," and that's pretty much that simple. I think he was trying to get new blood into the band, and he had seen a video, I think, of us playing of Nausea playing in Germany, so I think that's where that originated.
Yeah,
and then a few months later, I just moved to England, and hit the ground running with them.
You just sort of pulled up stakes and just moved it to England.
Yeah, because I didn't have anything going on. I didn't have a band at that point. Nausea ended very acrimoniously and badly, and
back then everything did, right?
Yeah.
So now this is the Chaos UK lineup, right?
Yeah.
Now, excuse me, but the gal, what's her name? She played bass?
Becky. Yeah, Becky.
Becky played bass, right?
But she had health issues, so she couldn't really tour. So she had to leave the band. She did one tour of Ireland with us, and like she had a bad reaction with her health condition, and so she pretty much had to leave the band after that.
Now, hold on, let me get rid of this. You did, according to this, you did record.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about what's going on here.
Trying to figure out where that even is. Yeah, we record. I think that's in Ireland, actually.
Yeah, it looks about. Look at the guy behind the board. I'd say.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
That was you know what that is? That's there was a studio in Dublin, right? And like that was opened by a band that remember that movie The Commitments?
Yes, of course.
Right. They used one of this band's songs without permission or something. So the band won a ton of money from the movie company. And so they opened up the studio with the money from it.
Here, who's Damian Weber? He says, spiking Frankie from Leatherface in Dublin. Them's were the days. Albert Sonic Studios in the pick.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so like we recorded the 100% Two Fingers in the Air punk rock record there.
Oh yeah, and that's I have that. Yeah. Is that Wow, you guys got some cool flyers. Is that this? I mean, is that the art that I mean, I know this isn't the record, but is this the art from that record?
No, that's the art from their first 7-inch.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
This is the record.
Oh yes, of course. Yes. Of course. Yeah, where is this? Oh, straight from England. Public Nuisance
Oh, that was
from
in
New York.
I think that was
Public Nuisance. Oh, this is in Santa Fe.
Yeah, but Public Nuisance didn't make it that far out because they imploded before they even got there.
Was that who sang for Public Nuisance? Was that Ralphie?
Well, Bat, that's singing with in My Band Now and Dying Breed, he was the singer originally for Public Nuisance. And well, originally he was the bass player, then he moved to the vocals, and then he left the band and they had Jimmy Fowle sing for him.
Got it. And here's another one. What is this?
I think that's also a California gig. And
Yeah,
see,
it's
they
gotta
didn't
be,
make it there either. Yeah, that's California. That's LA.
Total chaos on the bill.
Yeah.
Oh, Fullerton. That might be Fullerton.
Yeah, I have no idea, but
interesting. So how did the run in Chaos UK play out, and why did you move on from there?
Well, it was great fun. I mean, I had a blast, and it was a lot more fun than a lot of other bands I was in. It was more lighthearted, and it was more like, we were brutal to each other, but everybody took it well, and it was like, we got along. We're still all friends, still friendly. But I got deported from England, so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
They kind of caught up with you and said that's
it.
it.
Well, like we did a tour of Scandinavia, right? And I was in Holland because I had a girlfriend there that I had met in England.
Of course you did.
Like what I was doing is like I was because you get a 6-month visa,
right?
As an American. So what I was doing is I spent 6 months over there. Then we'd go on tour in Europe. Then I'd come back here. Then we'd tour here.
Right.
Then I'd go back to England, and we did that cycle a few times,
Sure.
And then what do you call it? But then like I said, I went to Holland, and I thought like, okay, well, it's easy enough. I'll live in Holland, and it's just a ferry ride to England. It's like going to New Jersey practically, So I was like, all right, like that'll work out great. So we did a tour of Scandinavia. They went back to England. I went to Holland, and then when I tried to go back to England, they were like, no way. You overstayed your visa. Sorry, you're out of here. So they took me to France just to like stick the knife in a little more, And
little did they know that they were basically disrupting your fucking musical career.
My whole life, basically, and so like I ended up in France. I know what the hell to do, Yeah. And so I went back to Holland, but by that point the relationship had gotten bad and everything. So I didn't know what to do. So I went up to Amsterdam because I knew it kind of well. And then I ended up there for like 3 years. I wasn't playing music or nothing, but it's like squatting was kind of legal there at the time. So it was very easy to live there.
Ortiz Guige says, I saw you guys play on that tour in East LA in '93. That flyer is the East LA gig.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Because there was a lot of like Mexican punk rockers.
Yeah.
Like Chicano punk rockers. But like all their older brothers are like in the gangs and stuff. Like in all the Cholo gangs and stuff. So it was like total, you could have a gig like that in the middle of fucking LA ghetto and it's fine. Nobody bothered you and stuff because of their older brothers and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And that scene really panned out. There's a film about that whole backyard, what was it called? Los Punks, which is, interesting about the back, about the, like, what do you call it? Backyard shows or whatever. I guess this is sort of like, I mean, I know you wouldn't, I'd be surprised if you knew where this was taken. but this is one of the last shots I have.
I think that's at the Anthrax.
Oh yeah, you know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say the giveaways. It says Murphy's Law behind you. You know?
Yeah, that's not CBGB's. That's the other
Right.
graffiti that plays it. That's definitely the Anthrax, I think.
Who'd you play the Anthrax with?
We played the Anthrax a lot. We played
Really?
with Rollins band one time.
No, which band were you up there with?
That was Nausea.
Oh yeah, right.
That was Nausea, and I also played there with Reagan Youth. Yeah, it was mostly with Nausea we played there.
I never made it up to the Anthrax.
It was kind of cool because it was in the middle of nowhere, in like a warehouse.
Yeah. Here's so Robert Hogg just sent this to me just as a reference. Let's just put it up. This is the Rebellion Festival 2022, which is a bit away. When is it in 2022? August. It's basically a year from now, right? It's basically a year from now. And what do you got? You got the Stranglers,
Good
Stiff Little
Lord.
Fingers, Sham 69, Circle Jerks, Steve Ignorant performing the songs of Crass. There you go. Huh.
That's like most of my punk record collection on that flyer.
Yeah, right. The Undertones, Peter Hook and the Light. I don't know. I don't know Peter Hook and the Light. You know.
No idea.
And then it's always interesting to see like who's underneath there. Cro-Mags, the Adolescents. Yeah, Cro-Mags, the Adolescents, GBH, Discharge.
Wow.
Bob Villain. That's good. Instead of Bob Dylan, Bob Villain. MDC. Huh.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's the Rebellion Fest, man. They do it up.
That's quite a gig. Is that just one night?
No. It's the
Oh, it's
Thursday.
over a few days?
Yeah, it's Thursday the 4th through Sunday the 7th. So probably the Stranglers are headlining one night. You know, Stiff Little Fingers is headlining one night. Bad Religion's headlining one night. You know, it goes like
That was all like one night. It'd be like every band would play like 30 seconds probably.
Yeah. What's that one? Skids? Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a lineup.
Tom Robinson Band, the Dickies. I like Sham 69. I got to say who's in the band because there's two versions of Sham 69.
I saw Sham 69 at CB's in 89, and I walked out calling it Scam 89.
Yeah, there was
they had like a saxophone player and a keyboardist, and it was just kind of like, I don't know what the hell that was.
Jimmy Percy wasn't singing, right?
Yeah, he was singing with them, but he was doing all these new songs of his that were like furthest thing from punk rock. And then every so often they break into like, all right, if the kids are united, you know, and like to get
1, 2,
everything.
3, 4.
Yeah. So
all right, Peter Hook. Peter Hook was the bass player of Joy Division. Okay, everyone's chiming in. Peter Hook was from Joy Division. Okay, got it. Thank you. Here you go. Look, silly me, right? I'm going 4 days. Peter Hook from Joy Division.
How could you not know?
You know, yeah. Oh, the Light plays Joy Division songs. All right, I get it. Okay. Let's take a question from Al. Chaos UK were one of the bands that influenced Sacrilege. How was it going from being a huge fan to actually ending up and playing with Chaos UK?
Well, it was like kind of full circle, kind of, you know, because they were like big influence on me, and then it's just kind of like, yeah, it's one of those weird things. And like, I remember in the last Nausea tour in Europe, it was going really badly, and I had a guest record, and I was playing it, and I remember telling Jim Martin, who's from Jim Martin from Broken, Connecticut. And like he was roading for us, and I remember telling him like, you know, I wish I was in a band like this because this seems like a lot of fun, you know, because everything like in Nausea at that point was an absolute misery, you know. So it was like, you know, and it was just kind of, it was one of those things. Careful what you wish for, and then it just kind of happened. So it was kind of weird. Like,
you know who sent me those pictures? Gabba.
You're saying it today.
Yeah, Gabba from Chaos UK sent me. Like I was like, look, for some strange reason, the other day, I've learned to check in my spam file because and I'm before I delete everything, I just kind of, and I'm like, what's this? And it's like, it's Gabba sending me all those great Chaos UK pictures.
Cool.
Glad I caught it, you know?
Great.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even seen some of those pictures ever.
yeah, that's cool. It's cool that they're out there, man, you know? So you come back to the States and you start up Coffin Daggers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, when I was living in Amsterdam, I wasn't playing music because I had kind of had it up to here. I made a kind of half-assed attempt at starting a band, but that didn't get very far.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the squad I was living in, one of the previous residents had left behind a Man or Astroman record and a Phantom Surfers record, and it kind of piqued my interest in that sort of stuff. So I was listening to that, and then Dick Dale played at the Melkved Club, which is like pretty much a few blocks away from where I was living.
Yeah, it's an iconic venue, man.
And I went to see him there, and it kind of like it dawned on me like a lightning bolt, like the reason that I liked playing guitar in the first place, because I was over it by that point. The only thing I was using guitar for was busking the streets, you know. So like
You were done. You were shot.
And, yeah, so it was kind of like, well, I don't know if I can write another punk song about like fuck the police or nuclear war or animal rights, this, that, or the other thing, that the 7 approved topics you're allowed to write about, you know. So like, yeah, I was burnt down on that. And then when I saw Dick Dale played, like I said, it reminded me of what attracted me to the guitar in the first place. You know, this basically, you know, you hit it and it makes cool sound, you know, and that was it in a nutshell. And it was like, yeah, you know, so that gave me something new to like pursue.
That's cool, man.
You know, and so like I started like learning that stuff, you know, all adventures and like all the surf stuff. And then when I came back to America, I decided to start playing a band kind of like that. And originally I got together with Jimmy Fowle from Public Nuisance and Greg Maggot from Maggot. And we were, that was the band, but it wasn't Coffin Daggers yet, but it was like the beginnings of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then those guys left for one reason or another. I just got other people in the band, and it just grew from there. You know,
and this was a New York-based band, correct?
Yeah. And originally, it was trying to do like a very purist kind of thing, you know, make it sound very, very authentic and all that. But then, no matter what I did, it sounded mean and aggressive because you know, however many years of punk rock and all that, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to we'll just let it go, be what it wants to be, and then it developed to what it is now.
Do the Coffin Daggers still play?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we had, like last year, right before the pandemic hit, we put out this record, which is it's Japanese surf instrumental songs from the 60s.
Wow.
And yeah,
that's neat.
It's real rock stuff.
So you've developed a real love and knowledge of surf music, not just from America, but from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's great instrumental stuff from the 60s from everywhere, places you wouldn't even believe, you know.
Yeah, I saw this whole thing about 60s music from Cambodia that was like really incredible. Like, wow, this stuff is like great.
Yeah. And it's like, so that we put that record out, and then the pandemic hit, and that just put a kibosh on everything, you know.
Hey, you gotta, Rapbone says they would go good live with the Ice Cold Killers. Make it happen, Drew. Coffin Daggers. You gotta play like one of our. Well, they're not A7 shows, but anymore because we're moving it over to Bowery Electric. But yeah, I for some reason I didn't think you were playing these days.
Yeah. We still. I mean, because of the pandemic, I haven't done anything. I mean,
Roy Ramone asks if you could hold the cover up again. Yeah. Here, let me get rid of that. Hold on, let me get rid of that banner. There you go. And where could somebody pick that up?
Well, this is on Cleopatra Records. You could kind of get this anywhere. Like,
well, Cleopatra's our old friend Matt Green.
Yeah, Matt Green, absolutely. Matt Green was my next door neighbor back in the early days. Like, You know, he got into like punk and hardcore around the same time I did. You know,
Yeah, Matt Green's from
we used to go into the city together, buy records and stuff.
Matt Green is original New York hardcore kid.
Mhm.
You know, and I dare I say he runs Cleopatra Records these days.
Yeah, he's a big wig there, but
Yeah. I just saw actually. I know he's involved with the films they put out. I just watched Cleopatra, a film that had the Cleopatra stamp on it. Is the documentary called Mean Man about Chris Holmes from Wasp. I
Really?
just watched it. It's a Cleopatra documentary. Yeah, it was interesting. You know,
Cool.
yeah, that makes sense. Let me take my last sponsor break. Shout a couple people out, and we'll come back and let's take questions from around the world. Okay.
But we should also talk about Dying Breed a bit.
Yes. Thank you. We will. Okay. There you go. We will come back and we will talk about Dying Breed. My bad. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Let me get rid of all this stuff. It is shout out Sunday. If you got anybody to shout out, our guest is Vic Venom, and we are sponsored by blah, 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 and blah, and Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards. Located in Lakewood, Colorado, is the Rocky Mountain headquarters for all things punk, hardcore, and metal. Established in 2014, they have the largest selection of records, CDs, shirts, stickers, patches, and accessories between Chicago and Los Angeles. From the pit to the ditch, they got your back. Get in touch with them at www.chainreactionrecords.com. What's Up Vlad? The Organic Grill is a vegan restaurant located in East Village, New York City at 123 First Avenue. Featured in New York Magazine, New York Times, and the infamous legendary Veg News. Their dishes have won numerous awards, including Goddamn Electric, as Dimebag used to say. Goddamn Electric. Best veggie burger. They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu could be made gluten-free. This year, they're celebrating their 21st anniversary, and they are all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. They have now fully reopened for business and look forward to seeing you. Get in touch with them and order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. I want to mention this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Coming up, yes, the A7 Circus has now moved to the Bowery Electric. The first show coming up. It is free. It is all ages. It is Sunday, September 12th with Fang, Antidote, NYHC, The Last Stand, celebrating the release of From the East Coast to the West Coast. Nothing But Enemies, Ionis, Reaching Out, and Ape. It's a big blockbuster coming up at the Bowery Electric. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Support this show. This is important. Listen, you bums. Support this show. If you don't support the show and we can't make this happen, we're not going to do the shows anymore. Free show. Everybody likes free. Of course, it's free. It's for me. Get your friggin' ass down to this show. I swear to God, man. You know? Yes, it's Ratbone's birthday bash. Yeah, that's right, Hegs. Rampage Mosh Crew represent. Get your friggin' ass down. I swear to God, man. I'll tell you what. If you're in New York City and you don't come down to this show, you better not ask. Yo, you know what? You know who I'm not shouting out? I am not shouting out bands that ask me to play, hey, and yet they've never come down to support any other bands. You must be doing this. Because, yo, if you don't come down and support any of the bands at these shows, do not ask me to play. That's not how it works in my world. You support bands, your band plays. You don't support bands, don't ask me to play. How's that? Sick of this shit, man. Hey, you got any room on that November bill? I'm not sure. Have you guys ever been down to any of the other shows that we've done? We've meant to, but no, none of us have ever been down. Yo, we've done 18 shows already. And I'm not talking about smoking this. This is a lemon, by the way. I'm not talking about smoking a lemon. All right? People are fucking high on something, bro. High on fucking. So this is the show. Fang. Come see Fang. We had Sammy Town on the show. Fang, and it's free. If it's free, it's for me. Come down. We got other stuff cooking as well. So, hey, good looking. What you got cooking? All right. Let's bring our guests back on. Questions. Post some questions for Vic Venom. We're going to talk to him about some other stuff, but post some questions, will you? Come on. Here we go. All right, that caught their interest, Vic. You guys played A7. That was a great show, man.
What? Who you mean?
Dying Breed.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah. When you said that, I thought like 30 years ago. Like, what are you talking about?
No, I mean, how cool was that to come back into that room?
That was a trip. I mean, that was absolutely surreal, because I hadn't set foot in. I mean, the whole time it was King Tut Wawa. No, I never set foot in there, So I hadn't set foot in since it was actually A7. So it was pretty like, wow, like it's the same but different. Like
I know, but the end, it's there though. It's there in that room.
It's always going to be there. Always.
Yeah, man. It's there, man. And that was you guys were great that day. That was awesome.
Thanks.
So let's talk about Dying Breed. Tell us about the band.
Well, that was, that just started because, I missed playing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Bat wanted to start a band again. He came back to New York and we just went from there. Been slowly trying to get it together. Things don't move as quickly as they used to. So
I know. Tell me about it.
Long time running, but we're in there. We're practicing. We're recording. Hopefully we get to play out again soon.
Hey man, come play one of us. Come.
Well, we're supposed to play. We're supposed to play up in Ithaca next month, and then I definitely want to play with the shows.
I'll let you know. You guys. You
absolutely.
guys are A7 family. You're always welcome.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
So it's you. It's Ned and his brother.
Ned from the Evergreen, yeah. Well, Ned's brother. Now we got Don Bucco playing drums.
Okay.
But Ned's brother recently left us. And that's the band in a nutshell.
And who's singing?
Bat singing.
Right. Okay, let's do a couple of questions. How about Heg's got to ask, what was the scariest place you played?
A lot of places.
I mean, I would think so, right? Like, because that's what I think of when I think of Nausea going out there in those, like, some of those shows must have been pretty scary.
Well, not even more so with Chaos UK. Like when we toured America, that was scary because we went into like the weirdest places. And it was always, we developed this joke like, we just crossed railroad tracks. We must be near the gig. The gig was always some weird place in the most horrible neighborhood in like the scary Detroit. That's a scary place. Just a lot. I mean, God, mind boggling.
It's interesting. I mean, what's the scariest place? I'm thinking must be like fucking Dresden, Germany. There's some kind of funky place in like the Eastern Bloc, but no, it's middle of America.
Yeah. Well, it was all these scary places where like you get befriended by the local Nazi skinheads for some reason, weird fucking reason, right. And they invite you to their house and you accept, you got no place else to go and sleep and all that. And they're showing you their guns and talking about how like they love killing black people and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, I hope the sun rises really soon so we get the fuck out of here, It's like that kind of thing, really. Not more so than the gigs, it's the places we had to stay,
Jessica says Ithaca, New York's looking forward to seeing you, man.
Cool.
you got love up in Ithaca, man.
Great.
So you're good. It's good. How about, will there ever be a Sacrilege reunion show?
Probably not. But I mean, I would do it, but I know that there's a lot of bad blood between Tim and Clay. That's kind of, as far as I've heard, is kind of unresolvable.
Ugh.
I mean, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I think things happen, man. Some things are unresolvable, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and some things sort of. I think in this music thing of ours, a lot of things are unresolvable. But if you're at the level of, let's say, something like Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig, when somebody offers you $1 million, you resolve the unresolvable.
Well, those guys would sell their family for $1, you know, if they wanted to, you know.
Yeah. So, but what but you put that kind of big money on the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no, especially when you're in your advanced years or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Chico up in Boston says, of all the recordings and albums, which is your piece of work you are most proud of?
Well, that's hard to say, because I mean, I like them all for different reasons, and they all represent where I was at that certain point in time and whatnot. And you know, I mean, I'm really quite proud of this last Coffin Daggers album, you know. And yeah, I mean, I'd be hard picked to you know, hard pressed to pick one, you know.
I would think Coffin Daggers, like something like that, really is close to your heart. So, you know, as opposed, and I think things like people, and I say this from experience, like, hey, which are your favorite films, Drew, that you've done? It's like, you know, I love them all, but in different ways, you know.
Well, I mean, they're all close to my heart because they were all a big part of my life when I did them, you know.
Right.
And the all-consuming part of my life. So it's kind of like, you know, it's just different chapters, I guess, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Al says it's great to see. It's great to see Jeff Bat of Public Nuisance in a band again. Dying Breed.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's good to see anybody alive. You know.
Yeah.
No too many corpses, unfortunately.
Listen, this is inevitable. This has come up because we had John on the show. We had Roy on the show. What about a Nausea reunion?
Okay, that's a real tough one. We made an attempt at one a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what John said.
Yeah, and the whole idea was, you know, we're going to do it, and everybody was on board, and there was a promoter in on it that was going to put up money to do it and everything, and certain people dropped the ball, and it just didn't happen, and that it kind of morphed into, like, I went out to LA to Roy's, and me, him, and John were going to make a band with the guy from Rancid and this other guy singing, and like that kind of, we recorded albums worth of stuff, but it just never came to fruition. But I mean, I would do a Nausea reunion, no problem. I mean, if it was, you know, under good terms and that kind of thing, like
that would be cool.
Like the hatchet's been buried with between me and the people that there was an issue with. So, you know.
Yeah, you know, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, the time moves on. We're older. It's like,
I mean, honestly, it's really hard to remember what the stuff that you were mad about was, you know, like why you were at each other's throats, why we were so angry. We were like in Europe touring, having to, you know, like what was it that was so upsetting? What was so bad that we kind of like were so hateful at that point, you know?
Roy Ramon says, Drew's slowly but surely working that Nausea reunion out show by show. I fucking love it. Listen, I got to get the Biohazard reunion. I'm taking care of that first. Then we're going to double back to the Nausea reunion. Okay.
See, the thing with Nausea reunion too, there's also like the issue of like how it's done, because it shouldn't be a commercial thing.
Yeah.
So the whole point of that band was to go against all that, you know?
Right.
And to say fuck the system, fuck the music business, fuck everything that's not like us, you know, like the kids and the scene and the people, the real people doing it, you know, like you need all these outsiders and all that. And so it's kind of like, so to do a reunion, obviously there's going to be like money offered, you know, and there's
Sure.
going to be like promoters involved, and it's going to be like higher end venues and that kind of crap. And it's just like, I'm not sure that's right
Yeah,
for
I
it.
understand.
It feels slimy, you know, and it doesn't feel like, you know, and
But
I
you
wouldn't
know,
want to like do something like that, and it ends up like all commercial bullshit, like the Sex Pistols reunion or something like that, where it's kind of like all this big money involved, high ticket price, and all that kind of stuff, and it almost kind of puts a black mark on what we already did, you know.
well, what's weird too is what happens when you see bands, you know, get back together and they play like these festivals in Europe and they're a mile away from the crowd,
Yeah,
and it's sort of like, yeah, this
that's
is
not
sort
what
of,
it was about, you know.
yeah, I see that sometimes with bands. Like they're back together and it's like they're a mile away from the audience and they're lost on the big stage, and it's sort of like, eh.
Like I never set out, like I never looked at the guitar and said, "Oh, I'm going to be a rock star and make millionaires." I just like playing it, you know,
Well,
and
that's
enjoy
always come through,
being,
Vic. That's always come through with you, bro. And
you know,
you know
and
what? Yeah,
it just sucks that like money has to go in and ruin everything, you know. And then always when like you get to play in a big stage with a great PA and a monitor guy and all that kind of stuff and how things should be, and then but then it's just there's all this bullshit attached to it. And it's just like, oh, I don't want to play this game. It's like I don't want to be this separated from the crowd. It's just like the whole hardcore thing was like, hey, 1 week you're on stage, you know, and your friends are supporting you and whatever, and the next week they're on stage and you're supporting them. There's
yeah.
no division between the crowd and the band and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of which, our good friend Lou Kohler, a big supporter of the show, from Sick of It All, says, not a question, but wanted to say hi and thank Vic for turning us on to a bunch of incredible music when we met him all the way back then, when we were really into Blizzard of Oz and Sabbath, and being being in a bunch of our favorite bands.
Oh yeah, man, thank you.
That's a Queens dude right there.
Yeah. There's actually more connection between me and those guys than that would seem obvious. Like,
Is that right?
yeah, that alleyway, the famous alleyway,
Yes,
was
of
actually
course.
like two blocks away from my house, like junior high school. And I didn't really hang out with those guys too much, but I used to hang out with Armand
Yes,
when I was in high school,
uh-huh.
because which is funny because that brings us to, like, I remember when you had Craig on and you Craig Sitar, you were talking about Axe Attack, right?
Yeah.
You remember that? Like
Yeah.
that. I watched that. It just blew my mind because I had totally forgotten about that. That was because like I was hanging out with Armand around that time,
Right.
and he didn't want to do it. So then, like this guy Bill that wanted to, because he wanted to show up all these people in his high school. Like he asked me to, so I was like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And that's why I met Craig, and he was like I think 13 years old or 14 years old or something.
Amazing.
Yeah. But he was a great bass player back then, even, you know.
Adam Mucci says, in regarding to the Sacrilege, he says, reunion, ha ha ha, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to the Alleyway crew. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's one from Chucky Brown, our resident historian. Says, did Nausea do the Sacrilege songs Fall Out of Our Being and Productive Not Destructive live? I believe Nausea would do Hellbent songs as well, like the track Daily Death. I could be wrong.
Well, we did Fall Out of Our Being and Productive Not Destructive. Those became known to the world as like Nausea songs. They were really Sacrilege songs. Both Adam Mucci had a big part in writing those songs, actually. Like some of the riffs are definitely his. Yeah, we didn't do any Hellbent songs, but I took some riffs and recycled them into Nausea songs.
Sure. That makes sense. Here we go from Hoya. Vic is New York hardcore, super OG. Hoya from Madball. What's up, brother? Hope you're well, Hoya. Yep. Right on. Let me see what else we got. Great to post up a couple more questions if you have them, will you? Let me see, what did I miss here? Is that right? Was Mark Yoshi from Generation Records originally going to play bass for Dying Breed?
Yeah. We practiced with him, I think, once or twice, but it was real chaotic. We didn't have any ideas. It was just real noodling at that point. So it just didn't happen. Like,
Did you ever play with leftover crack?
No, I never personally did.
Right. Did you ever play C squat?
Yeah, a lot, absolutely, bunch of times.
I saw
all the squatter rock gigs, like Ralphie Boy put that whole thing together.
Was it in the basement of C squat?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's the one that got knocked down by the tank.
Yeah, I get confused. I get confused between two of them because there's one still there, and I did some interviews for the New York Hardcore Chronicles film there, and I saw a show there like 2 years ago.
There was
and
one called Lucky 13 too. I seem to remember on 13.
Yeah,
it was like
I'm get confused as to what the which C squat actually, Here, what's Jonathan Wiley say? World of No Tomorrow?
Nausea did World of No Tomorrow for a bit. That was a Sacrilege song. That was a John's composition, as a matter of fact.
John's a great writer, actually. Jonathan's a good writer. He wrote something for my new book, and he's really good.
I mean this Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan.
I thought you meant John Johnson.
Yeah, no, Jonathan's a good writer. Yeah. Okay, wait. Rosie, hey, Rosie, how are you, hon? The Squat on 9th Street had a show a couple years ago. I guess that's it. That's what I went to.
I can't believe those places are still around, to be honest.
But you see, I'm confused. Now, Jorge says C Squad has shows till recently. Is it the C? Is it known as C Squad? Is the Squad on 9th Street?
It can't be the same place because I remember one of them got knocked. The cops got a new tank or something.
Yeah, that they came to knock it down.
They knocked the front of the building down.
They
because it was like, or we're taking it away. It was one of those things like
Giuliani. Okay, Tommy Rat, what's up, bro?
Tommy Rat.
C Squat was on Avenue C between 9th and 10th. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Boy, I remember visiting some friends in a couple of those places. Wow. I remember Roger living in a place.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about like the conditions in those places, like because like I said, I was squatting in Amsterdam and that was like luxury. Like you had like running water, electricity. I even had cable TV in the squat I was living in Amsterdam.
How they get away with that? They run
because it's legal. Because it was legal at the time. Like if you like they had the law that it was like if you had a bed, a table, and a chair, you could claim to live in the building, and if the landlord wanted you out, they had to go to court and prove they're going to do something with the building.
Jesus.
So there was some really beautiful squats there, like,
Jorge, Columbia represent. Mob 47 played C Squat in 2010. What's the band? I'm asking as if anybody knows. I saw a band, I think in C Squat a couple years ago. They were from Finland or Sweden. They were like older guys. It was packed. Real underground, like discharge type of band.
Radis, maybe?
Could be.
They had a record on Rackage. They were a Finnish band.
They're from Finland, right?
Yeah, and they had a record on Rackage.
This could be it, right? That could be it.
Right. Yeah, they were in the same vein as that, definitely.
Or maybe it was Mob 47. It was, the place was packed, and it was like, who would know? What's his name? My man, God, who sort of big squat historian. He his name is escaping me, but he's like a squat historian. But yeah. And I know what's his name just passed away. The guy from Leftover Crack just passed away in C Squat, right? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Turvi Cadet. No, that I'd know. Yeah, I think it was Mob 47. Now that you say it, yeah, they were from Sweden. Yeah, and I remember. Were you connected? Did you see a lot of like? I remember in the early '80s. When a lot of these bands were here touring and they were sort of all the rage. Did you connect with a lot of these bands back then?
What, these Scandinavian bands?
Yeah, and like Radis and all that.
Well, we met some of those guys when I was in KSK. We played in Finland.
Right.
And that's the only time I ever met anybody from like that kind of scene. Like.
Right. No, Rat Bones. It was the bass player from Leftover Crack that passed away, and isn't John Jesse taking his place now? I believe, if I got that right. But yeah, that's that. Let me see. Let me clear the deck here. If you got them, post them. If you got them, post them. Let me see what else. Did I miss anything here? Get him on. Get him on. Yeah, get leftover crack on my show. Fucking destroy the place. Okay, it was Alex from Leftover Crack that passed away. All right, we're straight.
I didn't know anybody in that band, so
Yeah. Larm, is that another one?
Larm. They were. I think that's a Dutch band. Larm.
Right. Drew, did you and Vic ever play together, jam together? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
you know, look at Silver Cup Studios, right?
Yes.
And remember Joe Fish?
Yes.
Yeah, we went over. We met you there one time. We jammed in the white thing, you know, the sound stage.
Who, you, me, Joe Montanaro?
Yeah, you were playing bass, and
Yeah.
we were just mucking around.
Wow,
jamming.
you got some memory, man.
Yeah. Well, it's all Swiss cheese and full of holes and stuff. But I remember specific things like.
Yeah. That is great, man. Yeah, I was a stage manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe
I remember that because the sound in there was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Antidote, we used to rehearse, set up the gear and rehearse there.
And it was weird playing on that white thing because you felt like you're like in the middle of nowhere. Like
yeah. How did you connect with Joe Montanaro?
Well, we were friends. He actually, I met him through Andy Apathy as well because Andy was trying to make a band with him and got me on board or whatever. And that was around the time Joe was playing with AF. And then he actually played with Nausea for a little bit too. Like,
really?
Yeah, I don't think we ever played a gig, but he was filling in for a while.
And he was in GBH.
Yeah, he was in GBH.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he was in GBH the same time I was in Chaos UK. So it's like two Queens guys know each other, like, you know. But yeah, we used to hang out together because he lived in Howard Beach. So, you know.
I was friends with Joe, man. And
yeah, he was a good person, you know. It's really sad how he went, you know.
He was, man. He was a good dude, and I loved the way he played drums.
He was an amazing drummer.
He went. Well, you know, my thought was the way he played. Now, for those that may not know, we are talking about Joe Fish Montanaro. He was a guy from Howard Beach. He ended up playing drums in Agnostic Front during the Cause for Alarm era when they toured, and then when Agnostic Front toured with GBH. After that, he jumped to GBH, and he had an interesting drum style. I always thought he just went for it, man. He went for it, man. He was great.
Yeah. Oh, he was a brutal drummer, man.
Yeah. Chucky asks, on the Nausea compilation album, The Punk Terrorist Anthology Volume 1, whose idea was it to cover the Business and Subhumans?
Well, I mean, we were all into that, you know. I mean, those were our bands and that. But like the thing with the Business was that at the time, New York was very split up into like the youth crew thing, the skinhead thing, and the punks, hardcore. It was just a million divisions, you know. And so it was like doing the Business was kind of an attempt to unite all that, you know, because it was like, you know, the real enemy, you know, fight the real enemy, not each other, or not the people on the scene, but the people outside of the scene, you know. Those are the real oppressors. And so it was kind of like, and it was also fitting because the Business had done a Crass cover in kind of the same sort of spirit because they were a skinhead band, and it was just kind of trying to, like, you know, breach the waters, you know, kind of thing. And so that you know, that always really went well on shows because we play it and then everybody be on stage singing it, you know.
Sure.
And the Subhumans, we loved the Subhumans, so it was just.
Thomas Starkey asks, did Dave Insurgent have any lasting influence on Vic? If so, what?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was a real smart guy. You know, I definitely learned some things from him, you know, and I also learned like what not to do from him because, you know, by his example of like how he ended up. Yep. And that, and like the thing with him, I think it's just a real sad story because it lost potential, and it's a real crazy story because it involves like Daniel Rakowitz and all that, you know.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
And so it's like. When I heard about it, I could barely process it. You know, I was like, "What? You know, this sounds like a Twilight Zone episode or something." You know,
it was crazy, man.
But you know, I think one of the main things I learned from him is the example of like, don't waste what you got. You know, life is short. You only get one go around. use what you got now. You know, don't wait, don't squander it. You know,
Right on. Dave was I like Dave a lot, man. I had some good times with Dave. It's very, very sad, you know, very sad what happened there, man. A real tragedy. Whose artwork was on the Nausea covers, and will you play something live for us all, please?
Well, the artwork was mostly like John,
Right.
and
Who's a
the
great artist. Yeah.
album cover was Al. Al did
Right.
the album cover and a poster for the thing. But and Al used to do our T-shirts because he was into screen printing and stuff. But
Right.
but a lot of the artwork was John's.
Yeah, John's a great artist, man. John's a really fantastic artist. Yeah. Al says, I was living on 13th Street across from the squat when they brought in the tanks or whatever the fuck it was to get rid of everyone in that squat. I was also living diagonally across from Lucky 13. All right. Yeah, well.
I remember in Lucky 13 where there was so many people in there. It felt like the floor was going to give way any minute. Like that rickety, like burnt out floor.
Yeah. And the neighborhood down there is nuts, man. Now.
Well, it was something else back then. It's like night and day now.
Moochie says, it was great getting back in Vic's studio with Jonathan Wiley to record. Vic's a fantastic sound engineer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Well, let's bring it full circle here. So Flux Magnetic Studio is Vic's studio, and here is the banner. There you go. If anybody out there wants to record, get that great analog sound.
We're all old school, you know, like the way bands used to record. None of this click track, snap to the grid bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Great analog sound. His studio is Flux Magnetic Studio. They're in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And the website is www.fluxmagneticstudio.com. I was actually poking around your website, man. It's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Were you busy during the pandemic? I mean, I would think.
We opened commercially during the pandemic, right. and we actually managed to get some clients in. I mean, it's slowly building in that, you know, but as things are hopefully starting to get back to normal, it seems to be picking up a little bit. But we did surprisingly well considering all things considered, you know.
Is there a is there a contingent of young people that have a penchant or they want to record an analog, or is it just old timers? It's
the same thing that's happening with like the hardcore and the A7 thing and all that, where you have all these young people that probably weren't even born when it was happening, you know, never got to experience, and they have this like nostalgia for it, and they want to be part of it. They want to know about it and everything. And it's the same thing with the analog tape, and that it's kind of like, you know, they don't know what it is. They've never experienced, you know. Right. I had somebody ask me, like, look at a reel of tape and ask me, how do you access the files on there? You know? And it's just like, for me, it's a complete disconnect because it never went away from me, you know?
Right.
It's kind of like, that's the only way I've ever really recorded. And so it's just like, it's like a real mindfuck to see people, they've never experienced it, they don't know what it is, but they're intrigued. It's the same thing with vinyl. You know, you'd think that the people buying vinyl now would be like people our age and stuff that grew up with it, but it's not. Yeah. It's fucking young people that never had it in their lives, you know?
No, I think that you kind of hit it on the head when you mentioned like the A7 thing. It's like part of the reason we have to move it from A7 down to Bowery Electric is so many young kids are showing up now that there's more young kids than older people. And that venue can't handle it.
Yeah, but it's also real important that they understand the spirit of the whole thing in the first place. You know, because one of the things that from like those old A7 shows back in the early 80s was that there was none of this bullshit fighting or divisions or anything like that, you know? Yeah. It was like everybody was like friends, you know. Any fights were people from the outside coming in to start shit. You know, it wasn't like people within, you know. And then as the whole thing grew by the mid 80s, then it became bullshit when you had this huge influx of people that didn't understand what it was about in the first place. And then saw the slam dancing, whatever, just the violence, you know?
Yeah. But But I also adhere to the belief that hardcore inevitably will collapse on itself from its own weight. You know, I don't harbor any illusion that, you know, we're going to have this great thing at A7 forever. And I feel like it was a microcosm. I did 18 events there.
Oh, it's
And
great. I mean, it's
yeah.
great to just even for that the one time we played there, it was amazing to be able to relive that for a minute,
Yeah.
you know. And it's
yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of like I think the problem with something like hardcore and punk rock and all that kind of thing, it's never meant to grow into a big huge scene.
That's right.
It can't
That's
happen because then it loses control, and then too many people, too many factions, and too many people with different ideas, and it's just like, you know.
Like I said, inevitably in the end, it will collapse under its own weight. And those are the elements that contribute to it. And that's why, like, you know, we got to move it out of the A7. You know, I'm lose any sleep over it. I know inevitably in the end it happens.
Well, it was a moment in time when it originally happened, never to be again, really much.
Right.
You know, that's what made it special. That's why it was magic, because it was a moment in time, you know.
But we resurrected it, and we had a great new run there.
Yeah.
And listen, you know, Sunday matinees are back on the Bowery, and we'll go down there and have some fun now.
Great, man.
As well, you know. So that's it. Hey, Vic, I want to thank you for coming on. It was great. I really enjoyed having you on and chopping it up with you.
Yeah,
Do you want to thank anybody? Shout anybody out on the way out?
There's just way too many people that, like, you know, I don't really want to offend anybody by leaving them out, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just very grateful that I was a part, even if it's a small part of something like that, you know, in the first place, something like the whole hardcore scene and all that, because it's a real special thing. And it's funny because I think society, the greater normal society, is starting to discover, oh, there was this thing, and it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. And everybody's saying thank you. And I'll talk to you guys. You guys will come down and play with us soon.
Absolutely, man.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Take care. Well, there you go. Great show. But then again, that's what we do. Great shows. Vic Venom, awesome. Awesome. We do awesome shit here, you know? Let's real quick. I just want to remind you about the next bunch of shows. Coming up a week from today is Stickman from Fury of 5 is going to be on the show. And then a couple days after that is Monster. Then we got Sonny Singh. Then we got Christian from Fear Factory, Power Flow, and Violence. Got some great shows coming up. 2 weeks from today, there will not be a show. We will not be doing a show 2 weeks from today. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Why, you ask? Because this is going on. The A7, the New York Hardcore Chronicles proudly presents the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots music series now at the Bowery Electric. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's 2 weeks from today. You know, it's going to be great. And if you're in New York, you better come down and support this thing. You better. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you're doing this. I don't care. Just get your ass down to this show. Seriously. You know? I mean it. Yep. Do the show from there. I don't want to do the show from there. What I don't want to do. I want to enjoy the show. I don't want to do this show. Meanwhile, I'm playing. How am I going to do this show and play at the same time? Oh, I get it. That's right. I'm a replicant. There's probably other replicants around too. So you're right. I can do this show and sing for Antidote NYHC at the same time. Thank you for pointing that out. Good point. Very good. Yes, I like that. I like where you're going with this. All crackheads are welcome. That's right. All crackheads are welcome. That's it. You know, the cinnamon. Thanks, Drew. What a blast to remember my youth and antics. And luckily, no camera caught it all. Yep. Yes. I'm like Max Headroom. I'm Drew Headroom. You know, don't snitch. Don't snitch Drew off to the Blade Runners. Don't tell my girlfriend I'm a replicant either. Whatever you do, she'd be so pissed. She thinks I'm real. She thinks I'm a real person. You know what said, hey, yo,
Yo,
you know what set all this thing off? Do you remember when I saw you at the merch table last night and that dude was like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. You're a real person?
I kind of caught a bit of it. I was like,
He's like, I love your show. I can't believe like you're a real person.
well, maybe he thought you were one of those guys, overseas that, do like the fake calls or whatever. I don't fucking know.
No, people are bugged out now because when they see me in person, they're so used to seeing me on a screen.
Possibly he thought you were not a telemarketer.
All right. Be crazy, man. Yep. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you in a couple days. We'll see you in a week, actually. A week from today with Stickman. I'll be down in Florida visiting Arnie Stone. Have a good night, everybody. Until next time, do good things. And good things will come to you.